Hey guys, it's Super Ivy, the hashtag hero here, dressed in your favorite early morning breakfast cereal because I'm interviewing Mr. Hal Elrod. He's the #1 best-selling author of The Miracle Morning, the not-so-obvious secret guaranteed to transform your life before 8 a.m. It has over 350 5-star reviews on Amazon, putting it at the top 10 of 1% of any book ever written in the history of the world. Wow. Fun fact about Hal is that he's practically indestructible, and today we'll find out how that is in our interview. And essentially, the Miracle Morning has seriously changed my life. It's changed my productivity immeasurably. I was never a morning person ever, and if I can do it, so can you. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to the international bestseller, head of top podcast on iTunes, has written for Entrepreneur Magazine, Chicken Soup for the Soul, and featured on television shows and interviews everywhere in the media landscape. Here is Hal Elrod. Hey, Hal.
Hey, Super Ivy. I'm excited to be here. I got your video that you sent me. It was so thoughtful, and I was just so amazed by your energy. I was like, of course I'll be on your show.
Oh, man. Yeah, I'm so happy and grateful that you are here to speak with us about your awesome book. It's seriously changed my life, and since I've shared it with so many people, it's changed theirs as well. And I wanted to ask you in particular, so what was the inspiration for The Miracle Morning?
So it was in 2008 when the U.S. economy crashed. At that time, with my kind of a picture of my life, I had just hit Hall of Fame with my company. So I left that company, kind of thought, all right, I've achieved all I want to achieve. And I became a coach because I hired a coach, and my coach changed my life, right? You call him a life coach or a success coach. So I wanted to pay it forward. I became a coach, launched a coaching business, grew it to be pretty successful, wrote my first book, bought my first house, bought my dream car. Like, life was great. And then 2008 hits, and I lose. It felt like overnight, but it was like really a 6-month downward spiral. But I lost over half of my coaching clients because they couldn't. They were getting laid off or whatever, so they couldn't pay me. I couldn't pay my bills, couldn't pay my mortgage. I lost my house. I stopped exercising. I was in the worst shape of my life. I got deeply depressed, and that's what became kind of the desperate state of affairs where I hit my rock bottom, and I had to turn it around. And that's kind of what led me. I can go more in depth on how I came up with the Miracle Morning, I guess, but basically after 6 months of this depression and just this downward spiral, Ivy, I called a friend of mine for help, just desperate. I called him. I said, what do I do? I need your help. How can I turn this around? And he said, are you exercising every day? And I had just unloaded on him on how bad my situation was financially. And he asked me, am I exercising every day? And I go, what the hell does that have to do with anything I just told you? I can't pay the bills. I'm losing my house. Who cares if I'm exercising every day? And he says, Hal, look, he goes, you're a smart guy, but if you're not putting yourself in a peak physical, mental, and emotional state to start every day, you're not going to be able to turn things around. He said, if I were you, the number one thing I would do is I would every morning go for a run and put on your headphones, listen to a self-help audio, a podcast, a business book, whatever, and get ideas while you're in that peak physical, mental, and emotional state. And my response was, John, come on, man, I hate running. What else could I do? And he just very seriously said, Hal, what do you hate worse? Your life situation that you just described to me, or running? And I was like, all right, screw you. Okay, I'll go for a run. I got it, right? And the next morning I went for a run, and on that run I heard a quote that became the catalyst, Ivy, to change my entire life faster than I ever thought possible. And I'll share the quote with your listeners because I think for anyone that really understands and embodies this philosophy, it's a total game changer. And by the way, let me say, you don't have to be at rock bottom for this to impact you.
Yeah.
In fact, whether you're going through some struggles or whether you're succeeding at the highest level you've ever succeeded at, the one thing we share in common is the next level, right? We're never at the peak of our potential, like, oh, I'm as good as I'll ever be, and life can't get any better. There's always the next level. Yeah. And this quote is the catalyst for anyone to, how do you take yourself to the next level as fast as possible? And the quote from Jim Rohn is this: your level of success will seldom exceed your level of personal development, because success is something you attract by the person you become.
Yeah, that's a good one. I love that one.
And in that moment, I realized, wait a minute, I'm not dedicating time every day to my personal development. Therefore, I'm not becoming the person that I need to be to create the life that I want. See, most people focus on doing more to get more or have more or achieve more. They want to do, or they do more. I just need to do more, be more productive. The reality is that when you focus on becoming more, you can actually do less to achieve more. So in that moment, I realized I've got to dedicate an hour a day. Basically, I thought I've got to create the most extraordinary personal development routine known to man or woman. And I've got to commit to that every day. And I already had this whole, I'm going to start in the morning so that I start my day in that peak physical, mental, emotional state of mind. And I ran home. I did about an hour's worth of research online, just Googling, like, what are the best personal development practices that successful people do every day? And I came up with a list of 6. And at first I got discouraged. I thought, wait a minute, I've heard of all of these before. And see, we're conditioned, like our society, we want new. We want cutting edge, something that just came out, never before heard of, right? We want the app that'll solve our problems. And for me, I realized, I looked at the list and I've heard of all of these: meditation, affirmations, visualization, reading, journaling. These are all like old hat, I've even done a lot of them. And then I went, wait a minute, I don't do any of these consistently. And in fact, if you think about it, there's 4 of the most dangerous words in the English language, I believe. I already know that.
Oh man, yeah.
Right?
Tell me about
Learn
it.
something and you go, I already know that, I've heard that before, and you dismiss it. Versus, here's the 4 words we should be asking. Am I living that? Right? I don't care if you know it. Are you living it? Right? We all know we should eat healthy and we should exercise every day. Are you living it? We all know that we have the ability to achieve anything and everything we want for our lives, but are you living in alignment with that, with your potential? And so, long story short, I ran home, I created this 6-step routine, and I thought, I'm going to wake up tomorrow morning and I'm going to try this. I don't know if it's going to work, I'm going to try it. I woke up, I did these 6 practices, and by 6 a.m., keep in mind I wasn't a morning person, it was a real stretch to go, I'm going to wake up an hour earlier than I have to, right? I woke up an hour earlier, and by 6 a.m., my life would never be the same, because even though my life was a mess on the outside, bank account balance is negative, my house is about to get repossessed, or taken back by the bank, I felt at a level 10. I felt motivated, energized, confident, and I thought, if I start every day feeling this on fire, then it's only a matter of time before my outer world begins to reflect my inner world. And I had no idea how fast it would happen. It was less than 2 months. I more than doubled my income. In fact, I almost tripled my income by doing this morning ritual. I went from being in the worst shape of my life physically to training for a 52-mile ultra marathon. I had never run more than a mile in PE class in high school. I ran 52 miles in one day, and my depression didn't take 2 months to go away. It was gone that morning. And that's why I started calling this is my miracle morning. It wasn't going to be a book. It wasn't going to be nothing. It was my miracle morning. And then just slowly but surely, I told a coaching client, and it just spread it. And now I am literally in awe, Ivy, that every day, thousands of people around the world are reading the book and joining the Miracle Morning community. And the results, I get hundreds of messages every week about they're losing weight, they're happier, they're healthier. This woman the other day, she said, I've been doing the Miracle Morning for, a month or 2. She said, I'm completely off of my depression medication and my anxiety medication, right? She said, and I cried today when my husband looked at me in the eyes and said, I love the new you. And she said, it was all because of Miracle Morning. And that kind of thing, I'm in awe of it. And because of it, my mission is to change the world one morning at a time. Really, because I've never seen anything that has been so life-changing for me and other people. And so that's it. That's my mission, is to change the world one miracle morning at a time.
Wow. That's so awesome. I love how you turned that seemingly negative situation into something totally positive, and that has literally impacted thousands of lives, myself included. Something that, since I started the Miracle Morning and I get to speak to you now, I always wanted to know, what is your favorite aspect of it, of the lifesavers? So for people who might not know, there's S is for silence or meditating, A for affirmations, V for visualizations, E for exercise, R for reading, and S for scribing or journaling. Which is what would you say is your favorite, or what's your favorite of those?
Sometimes I've been asked, like, is one of these better than the other? And I don't think that there is. I think that for some people, exercise is the most important component. For some people, it's visualization or meditation. For me, my favorite is affirmations. And if I could teach your listeners or your viewers a kind of a lesson on this, affirmations, and an affirmation, it's a written statement, right? It's a written statement, or it could be actually something you repeat in your head. But for me, it's a written statement that articulates what I want, why I want it, what could hold me back from achieving it, and what I need to do and what I'm committed to do on a daily or weekly or whatever it is basis to guarantee that I achieve that thing, right? And affirmations have gotten a bad rap, I think, for two reasons. Number one, they're often taught, for years by gurus. They teach you, speak in terms as if the thing you want has already happened, right? Like, I am a millionaire, I am a millionaire, I am a millionaire, right? But your subconscious is like, bullshit, you're not even 100,000-aire, right? It's like, and so you're lying to yourself in hopes that you'll trick yourself into believing it. Now, there may be merit to that. It might work, but I don't think it's the optimum way. It might work, it could work, I think it would work, it's not optimum. The other reason affirmations have gotten a bad rap is because they use flowery language, right? A very popular affirmation, to paraphrase it, is something like, money flows to me effortlessly in abundance from all directions. Like, what the hell is that? If anything, that makes me feel passive about it. Like, well, if money flows to me effortlessly, then I'll just sit back
it's not
wait for it to flow.
A motivating concept. Yeah.
So the affirmations are very practical and action-oriented, right? So rather than money flows to me effortlessly, I would say something along the lines of, my goal is to make, to earn $100,000 this year. The reason is I want to donate $10,000 to charity, and I want to be able to provide comfort and security for my family, right? That's the why. What might prevent me from achieving this is not ensuring that every day I achieve my highest priority, because I get distracted with emails or mindless activities. So I'm committed to doing blank and blank every single day, 5 days a week, from this time to this time, to ensure that I achieve my goals. That's an affirmation that doesn't make you feel like sitting back thinking money flows to me, or that you're lying saying I'm already a millionaire. You say, no, I'm committed to becoming a millionaire because of this reason. Here's what I need to be aware of that could throw me off course. By being aware of it, I'll stay on course. And here's what I'm committed to doing every single day to virtually guarantee my success. That's an affirmation that you read it every day, and it doesn't just make you feel good. It doesn't try to trick you. It literally programs your subconscious mind with what you want, why you want it, what to be aware of that could derail you, and the actions that you're committed to taking. And that's an affirmation that literally changes your life. And so that is my favorite component of the Miracle Morning. If I had to pick one, is I love affirmations, because I think they're the most effective way to program your mind to become the person that you need to be to achieve everything that you want.
Wow, that's awesome. Yeah, especially I love what you're saying about using it as a forwarding action, using your affirmations as a way to jump you into action versus just feeling sort of comfortable of like, oh yes, it's coming, here it comes, versus, like I totally get that. I totally feel for that. And especially since I know you were, I was reading the book here, and you were saying that when you were writing it, you were visualizing people reading it in their faces, and then you were like, I'm going to visualize me actually writing the book, and my face will be what I want those people to feel, and things like of that nature. And I feel like that is what really spurs the motion of what you want to create. And then there it is now, and it's happening all over the place, and it's because it's from that. It's, I think, definitely from this kind of a mindset and going for that. What would you say, I want to find this out too, so what would you say is the Miracle Morning's greatest superpower?
So the essence of, there's so many side benefits to giving yourself that time in the morning, right? Mm-hmm. That quality time, that me time, if you will. But it's not mindless. It's not me time to just, surf the internet or be entertained or whatever, right? The essence of the Miracle Morning, the superpower of the Miracle Morning is it enables you to become the person that you need to be to create everything that you want for your life as fast as humanly possible. Mm-hmm. What greater superpower? That's the ultimate superpower, right? Hey, if I can discover a superpower to develop myself and accelerate the pace that I can become the best version of myself that can achieve everything I want in my life, not just in one area, but every area. Yeah. How do you take yourself to, on a scale of 1 to 10, level 10, physically, right? Mentally, emotionally, financially, spiritually, relationally, every area simultaneously. And that's what the Miracle Morning enables people to do.
What's been your greatest breakthrough? Because I've had some really great breakthroughs during my Miracle Morning, and most of them really happened on the first or second time that I ever did it. And I wanted to know, what is Hal Elrod's breakthrough in his Miracle Morning?
That's a great question. I think that there's a lot of them all the time. One of them is realizing that my family is my number one priority. And in fact, if you look at my affirmations, the number one affirmation, the first thing it says, remember that your number one role in life, for me personally, is to be a husband and a father. Like nothing else comes before that. I'm on this planet to, and I've committed to the woman of my dreams, and we've got two babies, 2 children, and they're my number one priority. And it's really easy to get caught up in my bigger mission, which is to change the world, one morning at a time. And the thing is that I've realized, and I think I've gone back and forth, but I've realized that can never come before my family, right? My family is number one. And I think that when I was younger, kind of on the journey, I struggled in my head, well, wait a minute, I'm meant to change the world. So should that be my number one priority before my family? But right, they rely on me. And I rely on them, and we're in it together. So that's been a big breakthrough for me is to not ever put work or anything before my family, and loving and caring for my family. And I think a sub lesson there was I realized from a friend really that my number one role for my family is to be engaged with them. I thought it was to be a provider, right? I'm the provider for my family, and my wife stays home with the kids. And I thought my role was to be a provider. And a good friend of mine, Jim Rohn, so I guess this didn't happen in the Miracle Morning, but I reinforced it in the Miracle Morning so I don't lose sight of it. Jim Rohn said he realized that our role is not as a provider. That's a sub-role of being a husband and a father. He said, and this is what he said that really hit me, because I thought I was a provider, that was my role. Mm-hmm. He said, Hal, at any point in your life or when you're gone, your kids aren't going to remember how many mortgage payments you made, right? They're not going to remember how many hours you work, or they will because you work with them if you work too many hours, right? Yeah. They're not going to remember what you bought for them or how many nice dinners you went out to, right? They're going to remember how you made them feel. So my focus is always to really, every day, for the time I spend with my kids, it's to be engaged and really present with them. And I'm not perfect at it. I get distracted. My phone goes off. I'm not perfect at it. But my Miracle Morning allows me to have my highest priorities in front of my face to start every single day. And that ensures that I live the day in alignment with what I really want for my life, for my health, for my fitness, for my family, for my finances, every area.
Like you have this sort of Man of Steel thing going on with the whole accident happening and coming back and, really transforming your life and the lives of others. Could you tell us a little bit about what exactly happened with that for the people who are, watching now with the accident and how it translated later?
Yeah, so, I when I was 20 years old, I was selling Cutco cutlery. I was one of Cutco's top salespeople. I never imagined I would ever do that, by the way. I got hired, and I'm like, I don't know. And then I decided I'm going to break a record. And I broke a record, and I was like, I would average my whole life. And I thought, wow, I realized that there's a lot more inside of all of us, right? We all have a lot more potential than we've ever shown up until this point. And so a year and a half into my sales career, I was giving a speech at a conference. I got a standing ovation. It was my first one. So it was like I'm on a high that night emotionally. I'm really excited. I get into my brand new Ford Mustang, driving home. I get hit head on by a drunk driver at 80 miles an hour. And if this is my car and this is his car, my car spun off of his car, and the car behind me crashed into my door at 70 miles an hour. So the left side of my body was crushed at 70 miles an hour, and I immediately, literally the whole left side, when I say it was crushed, I broke 11 bones in an instant. My femur in my leg broke in half, and one half, not to get too graphic, but it came out the side of my leg. My pelvis was crushed between the center console, and it broke 3 separate times.
Whoa.
My humerus bone behind my bicep snapped in half and came out behind my elbow. I crushed my elbow. I severed my radial nerve in my forearm. All of the bones in my eye were destroyed to the point where my eye socket is made of titanium now.
Wow.
And my ear was almost completely severed, hanging on by about a half of an inch. And then the ceiling buckled, and it sliced a V in the top of my head. I punctured a lung. I ruptured my spleen, and immediately, unable to withstand the pain, and I'm very thankful for this, but I was in a coma. Immediately, I was unconscious in a coma, and then an hour later, when they pulled me out of the car, I bled to death, and I died on the side of the freeway, and I was clinically dead for approximately 6 minutes, in a coma for 6 days.
Whoa.
Came out of the coma, told I would never walk again by my doctors, and that I had permanent brain damage, which I did. I had no short-term memory. You could literally, Ivy, spend 3 hours in the hospital with me. You could go to lunch and come back, and I would be like, hey, Ivy, did you know I was in a car accident? You're like, yeah, I just hung out with you for 3 hours. I have no memory of that, right? So I came out of the coma, and 3 weeks later, I took my first step. 4 weeks after that, I went home against doctor's orders. I begged my parents, and I convinced them to drive me around to do Cutco appointments because there was a sales contest that I really wanted to win. And that was it. And that was where I decided at that moment. Actually, no, not at that moment. It took a while. It took a while to figure out my purpose. But I realized at some point that I meant to do more than just sell knives. Not that there's anything wrong with selling knives. It's a great profession. I loved it. But I meant to do more. And that's where I decided that I was going to write my book. I wanted to become a speaker. And eventually, became a coach. But that was the most unimaginable aspect of my life was, waking up from a coma and being in a hospital, wondering how I got there and why I was in pain and all of those things.
Wow. So what kept you going at that time?
So there's something, it's a good question. The doctors actually, so here's the point. I came out of the coma after a week, 6 days. And a week later, the doctors called my parents in with concern. They said, we're concerned with Hal because he's always happy. They said, every time we see Hal, he's always smiling and laughing and joking. And they said, that's not normal for a 20-year-old who's been told he may never walk again, right? And they said, so we believe he's in denial. We believe that he simply cannot accept what has happened to him and what his future may hold in terms of never walking again. So we believe that he is checked out of reality and he's just delusional. So we want you to talk to him and find out how he's really feeling. And my dad came in and said, hey, Hal, the doctors are concerned, and he explained the whole thing. And he said, how are you really feeling? Are you sad? Are you depressed? Are you angry? Are you scared? It's normal to feel those things. And I really thought about it because I could tell my dad was ready to cry. I mean, it was hard, of course, for my parents to see me in this situation. And again, I'm only, I'm still in my bed with my, I haven't, it's only a week after coming out of the coma. I'm still, I'm still like bloody and, I'm still pretty bad. My ear is sewn on, my eye is sewn up, And I said, Dad, I thought you knew me better than that. Remember, I lived my life by the 5-minute rule that I learned in my Cutco training. And he said, remind me what the 5-minute rule is. I said, it's okay to be negative sometimes when things don't go your way, when things go wrong, but not for more than 5 minutes. You set your timer and you give yourself 5 minutes. You got to vent. You can feel it. Bitch, moan, complain. Oh, I can't believe this is happening. So upset. But after 5 minutes, you realize that as an intelligent human being, there's no value in continuing to dwell on something that you unless you're Marty McFly in the time machine, you can't go back in time and change it. So the only logical choice is to accept it and be at peace with it. Mm-hmm. And this goes with everything from being in a horrific car accident, being told you're never going to walk again, to traffic. You You hit traffic, gosh damn it, I can't be late. Whoa. You can't change the pace of the cars in front of you. What's the value in wishing that you could or resisting your reality? The secret to being happy, the first step for it's acceptance. And that's the greatest lesson I learned. And so what the doctors thought is I couldn't accept my reality, so I was delusional and pretending to be happy because I couldn't handle the real reality. And it was the opposite. They were literally 180 degrees wrong, where I had fully accepted it. Yeah. And because I fully accepted it, it had no power over me. I wasn't wishing I wasn't an accident. And here's what I told my parents, and I think this one line is really revealing for all of us. I said, look, Mom, or look, Dad, if I've already decided that if I never walk again, if the doctors are right, I'll be the happiest person you've ever seen in a wheelchair. Because that's my choice. You can either be miserable in a wheelchair or happy. Either way, you're in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
I said, but Dad, that's only one possibility. The other possibility is I will walk again. And I'm visualizing that every day. My energy doesn't go into the fear of not walking. It goes into the possibility that I will walk again. I see it every day. I pray about it. I have faith in it. And I don't think it's a coincidence that a week later, the doctors came in with routine x-rays and they sat me down and they said, Hal, we don't know how to explain this, but your body is your bones are healing beyond what we ever imagined possible. And we're going to let you walk in therapy tomorrow. So it went from never walk again to 3 weeks later, I took my first step. And, I think that's part of the power of positive thinking is it doesn't solve all your problems. You can't just think about having more money and expect that it just is going to show up, right? But positive thinking allows you to be in the optimum mental and emotional state to solve your own problems, right? Positive thinking doesn't solve things or magically change things, but it changes the way you feel and the way you think so you can focus on the solution as opposed to the problem. Focus on what you want as opposed to what you don't want.
Wow, yeah, that sounds like you did some major self-healing there, and it's like doctors don't even believe that this thing can actually, the power of you as a person, is very, very, it's powerful, and if you step into that, then all things are possible, and I think you're definitely proof of that for sure.
The doctors aren't used to dealing with superhumans. That's the problem.
Yeah.
They don't believe in us, right?
Yeah, it's like they've never seen a superhero before or something.
Yeah, that's it, right?
I definitely want to do a hero spitfire with you. Kryptonite.
Fast food.
Cape or no cape?
No cape.
Favorite superhero?
Yeah, Batman.
Arch nemesis.
Like in real life, or a superhero arch nemesis?
Whichever one.
Hate.
Favorite hashtag?
Gratitude.
And favorite thing about the hashtag hero?
Ivy's energy and her spirit and her authenticity and love for what she does and passion for helping others.
So I have my stamp here.
Awesome, thank you.
The Super Ivy giving Hal Elrod, best-selling author of The Miracle Morning, a hashtag hero stamp of approval.
Awesome.
2 books have really changed my life, forever. This book and Rich Dad Poor Dad. So this is you're a huge deal to me right now to actually get to speak to you about it, the book. So right before I go, I do want to say thank you so much for speaking with us, for telling us all about your story and how you were able to turn things around no matter what was going on, and your general philosophy that you can really, if you put your mind to it, you can do anything, and it starts with the morning. And I have one last question. Yes. Since we have the Miracle Morning now, is there going to be a Miracle Afternoon and a Miracle Day?
There may be. There's a whole Miracle Morning book series in the works right now. We just came out with the Miracle Morning for real estate agents in December because that community just really gravitated toward it. So no, the Miracle Morning for teens, the Miracle Morning for parents, for kids, for couples, you name it. Those will be on a bookshelf near you. This year we'll probably have 2 new books come out.
Awesome. That's so cool. I was I wonder if there's going to be a Miracle Day. Is there a day to do?
Yeah, I know we have a miracle evening. We'll probably so there's a lot of opportunity, but I don't want to. I want quality over quantity, so I don't want to rush out a bunch of books. I want to make sure each book stands alone as a really life-changing read for people.
Yeah, that's incredible. Please keep writing.
I will.
Yeah, I know you probably never expected to be a writer, but reading your work has made me feel so much more confident in me writing a book, because you use caps and italicize like I want to do, and you're very honest and just you're very from the heart and authentic, and I think that's a really great thing to go ahead and read, unlike some other books where they're more like
I always joke I'm probably not gonna my books won't impress an English professor or Harvard PhD in English or whatever, but they're written for people. Just to digest. So, no, I appreciate that. Well, Ivy, thanks for having me on. Everybody that watched, thank you for your time. I hope you got some valuable tips today that you can that'll add value to your life.
All right, guys. So this is Super Ivy and Hal Elrod saying, see you later. #hero out.
Hey, this is Hal Elrod, author of The Miracle Morning, and you are now watching the #Hero TV.
We have tremendous respect for the Halle Berrys, the Beyoncés, the Marilyn Monroes, but this is about all of us, me, you, the owner of the bookstore, whoever is watching, embracing your inner strength.